Hey folks, going to try to make a simple video today. I have such difficulty making simple videos. Whew. This is my chameleon. I rescued this chameleon, as I say, I rescued from Petco. And it's been maybe 3 or 4 weeks now, and he's doing really, really well. He was older, he was larger, so I had a little bit more security in that he was probably going to do well if he had been in the system, you know, for 6 months, 7, 8 months, you know, in Petco. Then he was probably going to live, be able to be more healthy and not be sickly if I brought him home. So I brought him home. I got a new cage. I made a video on the cage. Past video, I also made a past video on the mister system that sprays moisture into the cage. My first mister out of all my reptiles that I've owned. I've never owned a automatic electronic mister. And that I've owned animals for now probably about 45 years. I'm 55 years old. So yeah, I started about 9 or 10, you know, raising reptiles, snakes, lizards, ferrets, all kinds of different things, exotic animals, if you want to call it that. I've got 4 boas in my possession. I've got 2 South American Argentine tegus. One's 4 foot long, about 4.5 years old, and my female is about 4 years old, and she's about 3.5 feet long. So I've had all these those snakes and my lizards for about 4.5 years. And so before that, though, I had a lot more experience with Burmese pythons, a lot of different rat snakes, corn snakes, all common things that you could get from the pet store. I've had them. Savannah monitors, iguanas. Okay, but one thing I did is I made a video about 3 or 4 videos ago where I went outside and I did a lot of research before I went into this, but I did the research and I found that chameleons consume bees. And in nature, they do consume bees, and they have been, if you're an evolutionist or believe in evolution, they've been doing it for millions of years. And, you know, there's nothing better than what happens in nature. And so they eat bees and they eat wasps, flying insects. A large majority of the flying insects are bees and wasps. They're up in trees and they're up near flowers. And what goes to flowers? Bees to get to get the nectar to take back to the hive, and then in the process they get the pollen from the flower onto a little part of their body that's kind of sticky, I assume, and they take that back to the hive. And then once they're back to the hive, all the other bees that went out and did the same thing bring back all the nutrients from the different flowers and the different plant nectars, bring it back to the hive, and then they're all in there around each other. They all get coated in it. They consume it, they eat it, and then they're very nutrient-dense little insects. Not that flying insects are nutritious because they're flying and they have to be very lightweight, and that means that they're not very nutritious. But by going to the flowers and the different vegetation and the different plants, they become very nutritious. And if you do some research, AI, I love, you know, AI. I'm not a fan of what AI can lead to, but I'm a fan of it providing me accurate information. So you can go online and buy bee pollen so that you don't have to go out and capture bees. Most people probably don't have access to bees. I have a hive, not a man-made hive. They've moved into my backyard, and I've got, you know what, they say a general hive of bees can be, you know, between 15 to 30,000 bees. I've seen them out swarming outside of their hive before, and I don't know what got them outside of the hive, but it blocked out the sun. It was in my backyard's like 90 feet by 60 feet. It actually dimmed the sun. And of course, when I saw that, I was like, what's going on out there? And the dog was out there, but they were hovering up about 10 feet to about 30 feet. And the dog was, I was like, come inside, dog, come inside. And I was like, I shut the door and I was kind of a little bit worried. I'd never seen that before. But so a lot of bees. But I went out, and I'm not saying that when I made my video, I had a few people that, and probably a lot more, that got upset with me and were like, that's the worst thing you would do. Chameleons don't eat bees, or that's the last thing I would feed. Well, in nature for millions of years, chameleons have been eating bees, right? Yeah, it's come to that assumption, and that's not an assumption, it's a fact. So they eat bees, and they can manage to do it because they have a really fast tongue. It's sticky on the end and it retracts really fast, and before the bee even knows that it's been caught to be eaten, it's squashed. Right as it comes back, he crushes his mouth, or shuts his mouth and crushes the head or the body of the insect, so the bee doesn't even have time to sting the chameleon. That's just a fact. But people have gotten upset with me and wrote things, not necessarily nasty, because a lot of things get deleted by YouTube if they're really bad, and I don't even see them. But a few people mentioned, that was the worst thing you could feed your chameleon, but they eat them in nature, and nature is going to provide the best nutrients versus you going and buying man-made Reptivite or the D3 or the different vitamins that you can buy at your pet store. I would rather feed my lizards more natural and more natural vitamins, and this is called a superfood. It's packed full. Just what's contained in AI, do a search. What's contained in bee pollen? Is it healthy for you to eat? I'm actually going to consume some of the bee pollen. I'm going to put this in some of my food. And to tell you that pro athletes, it's a secret of pro athletes that they eat bee pollen. And I saw that Muhammad Ali, probably, I don't follow fighting much, and I'm not a big fighter, in that regards. But Muhammad Ali consumed bee pollen as part of his regimen and his training. So if that tells you anything, bee pollen is super, super healthy for you, and it's natural and it's easily digestible. And you can get these in bags. This is a pound bag. I got it from California. One of the places that I thought a lot of this stuff can come from China. And not necessarily everything from China is bad, but I think as far as our food and our medication, it's better sourced from the United States. So I got this from Los Angeles, and the best thing I could tell, or California, best thing I can tell is this is natural U.S. sourced. And I don't know how they get this, but it's kind of like, I've tasted this before last night when I got it in the mail, and it was about $40 including the $10 shipping. So it's about $21, and so not super expensive. But again, you can put this on some of your food, and it's going to be very nutritious and hopefully have health benefits for me, my chameleon, and my tegu lizards. I'm going to supplement this onto their food sources, sprinkle some granules onto their food, and then give them the benefits of this too. Just AI search is bee pollen good for tegus, and it'll blast you with lots of awesome information. It's like a heck yeah, it's wonderful for tegus. All the different vitamins and the nutrients that are in here. I mean, it'd be a list of 15 things that I'd have to read off to you to tell you all the antioxidants and all the wonderful things it is. But it's kind of like a dirt granule, and it kind of tastes a little bit funny, but after you consume, human-wise, after I stick it in my mouth, a little grasp full in my mouth, about 5 minutes later, I taste kind of like raw honey. I kind of get that taste. But when it's going down in your mouth, it kind of feels weird. It's not crystallized. It's kind of mushy, and it's kind of odd. And you may not like it just by taking a spoonful of it and eating it, just to be aware. But yeah, so I've already fed him a little bit. So how you're going to do this, just real quick, and I will attach again 2 wonderful videos that talk about these in nature eating bees, and that they've been doing it for millions of years. And observers of these out in the wild have been documented seeing them near flowers, that produce the nectar that the bees come to, that chameleons have been seen eating 30 to 40 bees. And in like an hour's time, just their feasting, time. And so that's a lot of bees. And they do that because they know that the bees are very nutritious because of what they do in the wild, and get the bee pollen. So, yep. Okay, enough about that. But, okay, so how you would feed this to your feeder insects is that you're going to, if you have a little plastic syringe, it's larger, and you're just going to, put your finger over the end. This had more of a pointed, I cut it off so that it made a bigger hole at the end. So you can flow different things through here, a little bit thicker material. Put your finger over that, drop some granules into the plastic syringe. I'm just going to call it a syringe, a siphon. And then you would turn it upside down, pull that up, and then get some water, some bottled water or really purified water, drinking water, and then put that down in a dish and then suck the water up in there, and then you've got a solution of bee pollen and water, fresh water. Shake it up, put it against your hand, and turn it into a, it'll be dissolved in the water, and then you can feed the water to your insects, your different insects. Otherwise, you can just sprinkle this on their food and give them to them that way. I'm probably going to put this like on a salad, or maybe when I'm cooking my steaks, just sprinkle, I don't know, not a teaspoon, but maybe, half a teaspoon, just kind of like a seasoning on there. I'm probably going to see a lot of benefits from that. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and feed. That's how you can do that if you want to feed your feeder insects. But feeding a chameleon directly to his mouth, we're definitely, obviously not going to take a spoon and pour this in his mouth. And again, this is bees. In the subject of bees, I'm not going to feed my chameleon bees every day for, a month, for a week, for a year. It was just one video, and I caught like 5 bees, and I fed 5 bees to the chameleon. And it was actually very difficult to get the bees, very dangerous. And the bees don't live very long once you catch them, and they die really fast. And so it's not practical to go out and capture bees. And it was never something that I intended, that you need to force feed your animals bees and you need to do this every day for a year. So, let's not be emotional about it, which is, what chameleons do in nature, which is try to replicate what we see in nature and provide what's best for our animals. So bee pollen in here, I've already put some in there. I'm gonna come over here to my little counter. I'm out of crickets. And I'm gonna grab a super worm if I can get him. Ooh, there's a big one. Sheesh, these things are big. So I'm gonna put this in here with the bee pollen. There it is. I'm gonna angle this over to Caesar, and Caesar with his tongue is gonna strike the super worm, and with his big sticky tongue that comes out and hits the super worm, it's gonna also get some granules on there, the bee pollen granules. So here we go. I've already fed him a couple, so he may not be hungry. No, he is. So he just got a fair amount of bee pollen on his tongue, and he's consuming that. So with my chameleon, he doesn't have to eat bees to get that, because I'm giving what's on the bee to him. It makes sense, right? That's the nutritious part of the bee. The bees go back to the hive, bring back what they're bringing back to the hive. All the other bees are out doing the same thing, bringing back all this nutritious elements and little material back to the hive. Plus the hive has nectar. It's called hive nectar. You got flower nectar and you got hive nectar, and I guess you've got honey, and you've got all the other nutrients from the other bees. And so these bees eat and consume and get covered in this superfood, and it's a wonderful, a wonderful source of vitamins. That's all I'm trying to tell you. I'm not trying to tell you that you have to go out and do the dangerous thing and you have to risk getting stung by the bees, and the potential. I mean, 1 out of 1,000 chameleons, and one chameleon maybe got stung, and got injured or died. That's not even like 0.0001%. And they do this in nature for millions of years. So it's not something that I just came up with. I did my research before I did it. I found out that that's what happens, and it was very doable. So some people got emotional about it and got upset with me, and I'm sure a lot of people, when they do, they write into YouTube and they're like, "This guy is abusing his animals. This guy is not good for YouTube," and so YouTube throttles my content down and doesn't distribute it as much, which is unfortunate, because I'm just providing really good information that you can do to have healthy animals and widen horizons and thinking and be able to do more things and have fun with it too. But that's the end of my video. You could do this over and over again, 3 or 4 times, every few days, and just do a little bit of bee pollen. It's not going to be bad for your animal. You also just always want to supplement a wide variety of different food, like for my tegus. In closing, I'm going to feed this to my tegus, if I didn't mention that already. I've made a few of these videos, but go in and sprinkle that on some of the meat that I give them. And then also, if I feed them a rodent, I'm going to put some of the granules inside the mouth of the rodent. They're frozen when they come to me. I thaw them out, and obviously you can stick things down into the rodent, and I'm going to do that with the bee pollen. And there's just different ways to do everything. So to get this to your animals instead of just the store-bought, man-made, not as good vitamins and minerals. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. Hopefully you found this informative. If you did, leave a like and check back for more content. All right, bye-bye.